Right people, we have tons of updates regarding Apple Watch Series 9 and also the new Apple Watch Ultra as well as some watchOS features, so let's delve into it. So let's begin with the news regarding the Series 9. So I feel like compared to recent years, we haven't heard much about the big features with this year's regular Apple Watch, but Gurman now sheds some light regarding this. So basically he says that's all about the chip this year because, for those not aware, Apple's actually been reusing the same SoC in the watch for the last 3 years. While they call today's chip the S8, it's actually identical to the S7 and the S6. Now to be fair, for an Apple Watch, these chips are mostly fine, but speed improvements are always appreciated, and does tie into another rumour which I'll get to, but Gurman says the S9 chip in the Series 9 is going to be on par with the A15. For those curious, the current chips are on par with the A13, so we're jumping to 5nm, and it should be a decent speed improvement. Now for those wondering, why is Apple giving us performance on par with a 2-year-old chip? Well, remember that 3nm that we're getting with the iPhone 15 Pro is expensive and does have a low yield, so sticking to the A15 as a base makes sense when they already use the A15 in so many iPhones and iPads, and it's going to be cheaper to make whilst offering enough of a performance boost. Another great thing about this chip upgrade is efficiency, because it's fair to say many have wanted battery upgrades with the Apple Watch, and while we got that with the Ultra, the regular watches are still offering 18 hours of battery life, and so maybe the new chip upgrades could give us 1 extra hour of endurance. However, I'm praying that with this new chip, Apple gives us a physically larger battery inside and does significantly boost the battery life for the regular watches. Now ultimately, I know many are gonna say this is a boring upgrade, but personally I think this chip upgrade is gonna tie into another rumor we've heard about, and that's regarding a complete UI redesign for watchOS. So Gurman tells us we could see widget overlays on watchOS. This should be similar to the glances feature Apple had with the original watch, and he also compares it to the stacked widgets we have on iOS and iPadOS. Now if you're trying to imagine how this could look, Gurman says it should be similar to the Siri watch face, so it's different tiles showing you different information, and you scroll between them. Essentially, Apple's noticed that many don't use the apps on the watch, and I'm very much in that boat, so having widgets to show you all the information you need on the home screen is a lot more convenient. It also seems you have to press the crown to launch this widgets view on the watch, and it will be optional of course. And by the way, would like to remind you guys, like this video and subscribe for more content like this, it would be appreciated. Now coming back to the S9, since these widgets are likely going to be interactive and will be showing new information 24/7, that's going to require more horsepower in the watch, and so I think that's why the chip upgrades is actually going to be a big deal, but it does make me worried about older watches and how the performance is going to be on those with this watchOS overhaul. Also, I'm not sure if this has been rumoured, but I would love to see Apple introduce third-party watch faces. They can likely make money off this by creating a section in the App Store for them and getting a share from sales, and we benefit off this by having more customization and just bring some freshness to the watch faces. Now going back to hardware changes, we've heard a lot about micro LED for future Apple Watches, and unfortunately it's been pushed back. So in case you weren't aware, we were expecting a 2024 release for this new tech, but it now seems it won't be releasing till 2025. I do want to remind you guys though, this is a long way away, so things can ultimately change. Also, the report says the Ultra is only getting this, and that makes sense because Apple wants to upsell consumers to the highest end model, and this will be the first big display upgrade for the watch. It could eliminate burn-in, which is important for the watch since it does have an always-on display, but it also could give us higher brightness. That's also appreciated, but hopefully we don't get a price increase. Anyways, let's now delve into your comments. So Swancake says, if they nail blood glucose, I'll finally buy an Apple Watch. And yes, every time I mention this feature, many get excited, and I don't blame them because this could really change lives. In fact, I appreciate Apple focusing on the health features for the watch, because as Apple loves to flex at events, these new sensors do save lives. Also currently a lot of blood glucose monitors involve you pricking your finger, but this of course is going to be completely non-invasive. So one CTF178 says, the Series X or 10 could have flat edges, that was leaked for the Series 7 but never happened, that completely looked different from the Apple Watch Ultra. Now I'll be honest, while I was excited for that design at the time, I don't think it's going to be very comfortable to wear because yes, it does not have sharp corners, but it's still a lot boxier than current watches. I think that's a big reason why the Ultra is not really flat-sided. I guess at the time we just got excited for the possibility of a new design and some change for the watch, but I ultimately do prefer the real design we got. The curved display is super neat. So Aliasa says, why would they call this the Apple Watch Series X? It seems like they want to use Ultra for their top line models. The very reason would be to make their lineup uniform. So this is regarding the rumor that next year's base watch could be called the Series 10 because it's going to be 10 years since the first watch, and you're right, the Ultra terminology is something Apple seems to now use for the highest end products, and a Series X could ruin things, but that's exactly what Apple did with the iPhone range. Before the iPhone 10, the iPhone naming scheme was very easy to understand. You have a number year followed by an S year, but then Apple was like, hey, let's just ruin everything because why not? And they skipped 7S and went straight to 8, and also skipped iPhone 9 and then gave us iPhone 10, whilst using Roman numerals that confused everyone. But ultimately, I guess Apple would rather have a cool name for their marketing over it actually making sense compared to the rest of the range. So if Apple really does have big plans for the regular watch, in 2024 I could see Apple introducing the Series 10, even when the Ultra is a thing. So at User says, if Apple really thinks cameras are so important, why don't they make a Pro camera mode? Users can switch from the default camera app to, of course, a Pro mode. And yeah, honestly, I'm not sure myself. I think it's time we see a Pro mode for the iPhone, because when they're touting features like ProRes and ProRAW, having a basic camera app alongside it is not that great. And I know there are third-party apps that of course Apple themselves have promoted, but having this built in natively would be nice. So Tahome says, I think Apple Watch Ultra 2 is going to come out in 2025. So this actually is a good point because obviously the Ultra is a new category of Apple Watch, and so we can't be sure if we're going to see this release on a yearly basis. Remember, the SE2 came out 2 years after the OG SE, so there's a chance Apple could do the same with the Ultra, because we're not getting micro LED this year, that's been pushed back, and so Apple doesn't have much to upgrade. However, on the other hand, the reason why Apple might give us yearly upgrades for the Ultra is because of the SoC, since of course this is the highest end model, so if Apple doesn't update it and the regular watch gets the S9, that would be odd. So I could see Apple just keeping it simple for this year's Ultra update and give us a new chip and maybe some new colours. Anyways, let me know your thoughts in the comments, make sure to like and subscribe for more content like this, and thank you for watching.